Hello, my name is Charles. I'm here with the NEMO Customer Service team. And it's winter here at NEMO. Winter here means that we take out all of our summer gear and make sure that we are storing it properly so that when comes summertime, we can pull it all out and it's all ready and set to go for your summer and spring adventures. We're going to be chatting today about the tents, what to do when we're storing our tents, how to properly go about that, as well as pads and sleeping bags. We first have your NEMO tent. This is the Aurora 2P. You want to take it out, you want to examine each of the panels. You want to make sure that the zippers are working functionally. You want to make sure that they are clean as well. If there's any sort of dirt or grime, you want to take a washcloth and some light, mild detergent, just kind of wash that up. Make sure that you let it air dry, just hang it up. It's going to be essential to, when you do store it, that it is completely dry, otherwise you may run into a mold over time. Be sure to be checking the floor, the panels, the mesh for any sort of small holes. Anything that can be covered with a gear aid patch, we recommend just kind of taping that over. It should suffice for any future ventures. If there's anything larger than that, or if there's any sort of tears in the seams, best to do this during the winter months. That way, you know, we are in our prime time for taking care of all of our customers. As you can imagine, things ramp up in summertime, and so it can lengthen the repair time. So you want to make sure that your seams look kind of like this. They're nice and glossy. If there's any sort of cracking or it's flaking off, definitely contact the customer service team, and you can find those links in the link below. You want to make sure to also check out all of the clips, make sure there's no cracks. Also want to take a look at your pull set. Making sure that shock cord is nice and taut. Kind of just briefly look over each individual pull segment, make sure there's no cracks, especially at the hubs. That's typically where we see most of the pull segment breaks. When you're ready to store the tent, you can take your poles. This is a fine way to keep them in long-term storage. So those are all set. You want to loosely roll your tent, and we actually have a really great video on this if you wanted to check that out. But basically just tri-fold your tent, roll it up loosely, and store it outside of the stuff sack. If you don't have, if you have a pillowcase, you can stuff it in there. It's just important not to keep everything really nice and tight. Keep that for when you're going out on your adventure. Sleeping bag is probably the most dirty aspect of camping, so you definitely want to make sure that you check out our video on washing your sleeping bag to make sure that when you go to store it away, it's nice and fresh for that spring adventure that you have planned. You want to make sure that the sleeping bag, it can be inside out, it can not be inside out, either way. Just making sure that the zippers are fully up, making sure that they're clean. If there's excess dirt and grime and oil in the sleeping bag, you can use something like a Nix Wax Tech Wash. That's going to take out some of those more challenging oils and grime on the bag. We are also provided with a storage sack, which whenever you're storing your bag, you want to make sure that you use something like this or a larger cotton storage sack. A pillowcase works out great as well. If you don't happen to have one of these, just stuff it inside there. Make sure that it is completely dry and store it in a cool, dry, temperature-controlled space so that you can maintain that nice loft for any sort of future adventure. Next, we'll chat about pads. We'll take a look at those. We'll make sure that they are stored properly. So the first thing that you want to do is to inflate your pad. Make sure you can leave it out overnight. You don't necessarily need to sleep on it, but you just want to make sure that it is still inflated when you wake up in the morning. Other important things, again, same with all of the equipment that we've talked about today. You want to make sure that it's free of any oils, dirt, grime, just making sure that it's going away nice and clean. Any of that oil and dirt can break down the materials over time, so whenever it's stored for a long period, you want to make sure that it is clean and completely dry. Just look over your pad, make sure that there's no any sort of holes or leaks, and then go ahead and deflate it. So just pull the tab here, make it nice and deflated. And whereas you normally would be doing like a really tight roll, you want to make sure that for all of our pads, even just the air pads and especially the foam pads, you want to make sure they are loosely rolled so that when you open it back up, it can regenerate a lot faster. So that goes for all of your foot pumps and pads such as the roamer, any sort of self-inflating pads. You want to make sure that they are loosely stored. If you have a spot underneath your bed, you can just slide it under there, leave it inflated with all the valves open. That way when you pull it out, it is ready to go. So that should conclude all of the pads, sleeping bags, and tents, how to properly store them. We have individual videos on everything that you've seen here today, so definitely check those out on our NEMO Equipment YouTube page. You can also, if you have any questions, definitely reach out to our customer service team, which can be found on our website, as well as through the links below. If you liked what you saw, definitely hit the subscribe button to check out any more NEMO how-to videos. Thanks for watching.